All right, so this is the 100th problem, and it's the quotient rule. And I do know the quotient rule, by the way. So, and most students do know that, by the way. The quotient rule over here, what's it going to produce over here? Well, the bottom will be squared. You bring the bottom to the top, times the derivative of the top, minus, let's see, the top, times the derivative of the bottom. So someone says, what are you looking for? I'm looking for these things. And if I see those things, great. If I don't see those things, I got to try to get them to come into the problem, by the way. So my first goal over here is just to write the definition down, and that's just over here. The next thing I did was, cleared the complex fraction by multiplying top and bottom by the minor LCD. So if you do that, you get something pretty simple. You get this on bottom, h times g of x plus h times g of x. On top, it's not so bad. It really isn't. What are you going to get? F of x plus h times g of x, because the g of x plus h canceled off. Then you get, over here, you get minus f of x, because the g of x disappears, g of x plus h. And then what I do, I inserted two things, because there's things, they weren't there, but I inserted the two things. What did I insert? Minus f of x times g of x and plus f of x times g of x. I hope you realize that this is 0. All right? Then what I do, kind of rearrange things so I see those things I want to see, which is the definition of the derivative. So what I do is I made some associations. Let me erase this over here, and I'll point out the associations I wanted to make. All right? So let's take a look. And the first association I look at is I look at this one over here. And then after I did, I look at these two over here. Let's take a look at that. So the first two, what I did is I factored a g of x out. And what do you see? You see this over here. You left off with f of x plus h minus f of x. On the other one, what I did, I factored out a minus f of x. And what are you left over there? Well, you left off with, let's see, g of x plus h. Put them in different order, by the way. And then minus g of x. That looks okay. And then what I do, I split into two separate limits. I get my eraser out. I want to point out the two separate limits we're putting down, by the way. So one of the limits I put down is, this guy over here. And the other one I put down is this one over here. Two of them. That's all I did. All right? I get my eraser out again, and I'll show you where those two limits are written down for you. First limit, f of x plus h over h. And then it's going to be g of x over, g of x plus h times g of x minus, well, the f of x over g of x plus h gx, and then this thing over here. And then what do you get there? Let's take a look. And, I got the limits now, right? So what do you get? The first guy's going to give you, f prime, right? And that's from this guy right over here. And what's this guy going to give you? And if I looked at that, as h goes to 0, I would just get g of x on top, and I'd get two factors of gx on bottom, so just g of x on the bottom. And what do you get over here? Well, that's going to be g prime. And then what do you get? You get f of x, and on bottom, what do you get? Well, g of x times g of x, which is over here. So what I got to do? Common denominator, which is going to be this over here, g of x quantity squared, and then just, build the fraction, and you get this over here. It's really what we expected. We expected to see that. Thank you.